Hello, my name's Tim,
And I'm Parker.
and this is the Rage Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about what it means to be generous in our modern context. And in order to illustrate this, Parker has a little story he'd like to share with us about one of his favorite things on earth, I think. Or maybe not. But he does have a story he wants to share with us.
So I'm still in high school, as some of you who may be watching this know, and I'll give you the whole perspective and everything. So the school has, if you have a student or a grandchild in school, you most likely know, or maybe know, that lunches are free this year. The school got a grant from the government that allows us to give free lunches to every student, doesn't matter what income a household makes or anything, because that used to be how it was. Mm-hmm. But now it is, everyone gets free lunches. But there's also something that has been added on, or that they're starting. It's like a snack, like a morning snack program, okay? And a lot of times it's donuts or muffins or in juice and everything. But the story that I'm going to share now is I'm walking down the hallway, heading towards fourth period, and it's like the maybe third day of school, and when they started doing this, and I see just a herd of people, a herd of high schoolers. And I was like, interesting, we normally don't have just these big groups gathered in the hallway. I get closer and I see that it is a bunch of people fighting to get to these chocolate muffins and juice.
Kind of Hunger Games style, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And again, it's free food. Just take it and go. Take two. I mean, like, it's there, and people are just ripping, pulling people away to get to the front of the line to get the good chocolate muffins and juice. And now, where do we see the problem? Why are we talking about this today?
Who doesn't like chocolate muffins? Yeah. I mean, come on.
Especially free chocolate muffins.
Yeah, it's the best kind, right?
But what are the long-term effects and strains that may come from doing this? And that's and
that's our topic for today, because God knows neither Parker nor I want to say anything bad about chocolate muffins, but what we're talking about today, and I have to admit, when he came in today and said, well, what topic we want for the show, and he was kind of throwing out some ideas, and we were bouncing some stuff around, and he told me the story, and I said, wait, what? Lunches are free? when did this happen? I still remember when I would go to school, and I'm in my, I'm 46, so many of you who are my age, remember you had 85 cents in your pocket, and you'd buy your little lunch thing. Now, I'll admit, since I'm like 1,000 years older than Parker, is, back in those days, I never paid for any of those lunches either. My parents gave me money, so it's not like it was money out of my pocket. But at the same time, even as a little kid, it still helped me understand that was coming from, something had to be, there was a trade happening there. It wasn't like this food was dropping from heaven like manna, and the cafeteria people were ruining it and then serving it to us. So I found it to be shocking, because I think, and this is what Parker and I want to talk about today, is when you remove the idea that something had to go into providing these chocolate muffins, we create a situation where everybody's now entitled to something. Is that right?
No, yeah.
Isn't that the behavior you're describing exactly?
That's exactly like, and now it's like, and now I'm trying to figure out is, what if one day we don't have the cart there? What's really going to happen? Like, are we just going to have a bunch of high schoolers standing
I'm just going to look out the window and see one solid stream of smoke coming up, and they were out of chocolate muffins today.
But it's like, it's in the middle of the hallway, and people, in between periods, so we have people moving around, and like, it's just grab and go. But what's funny, and this isn't really into the rage topic, but this is something I just want to, I eat lunch at 10:33 is when my lunch period is.
Yeah, lunch. Holy cow, it's like breakfast.
So the morning snack is given one period before lunch. So that's just something, I don't know. It's just something I find so funny.
Some scheduling issues in there too.
But yes. So what are we teaching, or what? How good is that really for the rest of us?
I know, and we're not even going to talk about obesity today, because I feel like there's something to be said about that. But the idea here is that there's no concept for where that comes from. I mean, do all those vultures who are circling
Yeah.
chocolate donuts, did they have a concept where it came from? I feel like, you know, and again, I want to be clear about this. I'm not faulting the school for giving the kids snacks. Look, I'm totally into snacks. I'm totally good with that. It's just the fact that there's no communication as to where that comes from. It's just like snacks fall from the air, and I'm just that breeds a sense of entitlement. And one of the problems with entitlement is that, like Parker said, and I think he's 100% correct, is what happens on the day that thing is not there, or what happens when tomorrow they're all jelly donuts and not chocolate donuts, and I you know, or whatever. What happens then? And I feel like the danger we're running into is the fact that everyone has to have everything provided for them. You know, it's not based on need. It's not. This is not even based on generosity. This program is based on. I don't even know. I don't even know what the purpose is.
That's because I understood when we had like the free or reduced lunch counts.
Right.
And it was all based upon income a house-made, or
Right.
like the situation a kid was going
Right.
through, or something like that.
Or if they were giving out bananas or something healthy, that I could even see that. Yeah.
Like that makes. Oh yeah, like I could understand if they were giving like fruit, like eat your fruit.
Yeah,
Like
and-
kids need to eat, like, you know.
Right,
Like,
and kids don't have money for breakfast at home or something like that, and you're giving them fruit. That seems good. I'm just not sure chocolate muffins
and
is
you know,
the way to
but
go.
like, and yeah, even that can be considered. It's like
Yeah.
why is it these like of all the cheap snacks that the school could provide, which is as simple as like a banana.
Mhm.
Why is it chocolate muffins and this juice?
Besides the fact they're delicious, of course.
I mean, obviously, but
Yeah.
but like in the sense, and like, you know, I remember one of the. I'm just gonna go on storytelling, but
There we go for it.
but I remember when I was like a little kid and the Obamas took office.
Yeah.
Okay, and Michelle Obama was.
They wanted to get rid of Cookie Monster. I
And yeah,
remember that.
Michelle Obama was all about, you know, like having
Mm-hmm.
like healthy food and everything served in schools. And when the vending machines were then on lockdown
Mm-hmm.
because of all this stuff, and then we started getting, here's an apple, here's your, and all these things. And like, it was, but like, I guess I find it so interesting how, but the problem is we're not teaching children that, or young adults in general, that,
Yeah, because hang on. What was the age of the people who were scavenging the cart?
I mean, from freshmen
Yes.
to
So-
seniors in high
So
school.
you're talking 14 to 18-year-olds.
And
yeah.
we're fighting over the free chocolate muffins. But like, you know, like the key factor, and I think one big thing that goes on in that age range is you get your first job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that first job, you know, that's where the initial transaction starts. You put forth this, and they give you this, and then you buy, and then you would be the person who buys this, okay? But if we're getting it, if we don't have to do anything for it to come to us, well then all the steps in between just kind of...
Right, and whether those snacks are donated, or not just the snacks, the lunches, or whether they're donated from companies, which I highly doubt, but you know, wherever they're coming from, somebody somewhere is footing the bill for this. Is the point. And you know, whether it be taxpayers, whether it be businesses, whether it be, and it's wonderful. And I am not questioning the motives of doing it. I know the people who are providing these things are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. I think that's wonderful. But the danger of that is that they're losing the fact that something happens between the production of this food and the eating of this food. There's a transaction in it that the kids, you know, these kids are 14 to 18 years old, are missing.
So that's the first red flag that we see.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we're going to go on to one of the second big red flags that we see.
Yeah.
And so Tim, this is kind of Tim's half.
Yeah.
He was listening to the radio and he heard...
Yeah. This morning, I was listening to the radio and they were talking about how the cost of products over the last 12 months have went up more than any 12-month period prior to this since they've been recording it. I heard that stat on the radio this morning. Now, look, I can't quote where it's from or whatever, but that was what they were talking about. And the problem with that is that when a lot of these things are being, when the price of the entire product is being put together, we don't understand exactly what all we're paying for. Because look, I can go pull a banana off the tree, and I can sell it to you for, you know, what's the price of a banana. But you got to understand, in the midst of that, you know, you've got transportation costs, you've got the people picking it, you've got the people inspecting it, you've got the people preparing it to be sold. Then you've got the Walmart or whatever's got a markup on that. But then you turn around and give away 10,000 free bananas. All those bananas have to be paid for too.
By someone.
By someone.
And who's and
it's going to be the consumers who are buying the rest of the bananas that used to be 35 cents. It's now $1.25 because you're covering all these other costs that are hidden when people are getting too much stuff for free.
So what's happening is we won't face the danger until the long run.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I know, I'm growing up in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm facing it right now. It's like, here's all this stuff.
Yeah.
Here's all these, you know, it's so difficult to understand how to respond to that.
Right. Because we're not creating these resources out of nothing. Chocolate donuts just don't appear. You know, these kids who were doing the Hunger Games impersonation and ravaging the cart may thought they came for free, but those things came from somewhere. And we just want to encourage all of you to be very careful about that. Now, I know some of you are probably watching this podcast and you're thinking, aren't you guys from a church? You know, and isn't generosity kind of your thing? And that's true. You know, Jesus does tell us to be generous, but if you go back and read the Gospels, look, read every word of everything we have recorded that Jesus ever said. Yes, Jesus was very big into generosity. There's no question about it. He was always about giving to the poor, taking care of the orphans, helping the people who had, very much into that. But if you go back and read, the thing that we miss was his motivation. Why did he want us to do that? And without exception, you cannot point to a single time Jesus did anything where he simply gave to transform the recipient. All Jesus' giving was focused on the transforming of the giver. The giver was to feel the generosity. The giver was to feel the compassion. The giver was to feel all these things and to try to live into what God wants to do, which includes an insane amount of generosity. But it was all about demonstrating your faith. It was never about saying, here's a need, I'm going to completely fill this need. I mean, Jesus even said, you know, give to the poor as much as you can, but understand they're always going to be with you. You know, people who have needs, you're never going to satisfy all the needs because even like Parker said, that chocolate muffin only had to get me through one period till I got to lunch. Some people probably didn't make it. They were still hungry when they got to lunch. So that need can never be filled. And I bet a lot of those kids who were fighting over those muffins, 3-4 hours ago?
Yeah.
Probably hungry again. Knowing teenagers. So the idea is you're never going to completely fill that need. So it's all about transformation of the giver. The problem with that is when we are given mandatory that you give, mandatory that you pay taxes, mandatory that you buy products for more than they're actually worth so you can cover the expenses of other places. You're not transformed by that. You're aggravated. Nobody writes a check to the IRS and says, look how I feel benevolent and I feel transformed. No one does. I don't care what anybody tells you. No one does that.
Now, how Tim, how do you make like a heart with full of gratitude, or like how do you make a person have the giving mindset?
Yeah,
how would you say you
the way you foster that is you help people understand the blessing of giving, the blessing of generosity. Which that even sounds silly for me to say it because it's so contrary to the way we normally look at it. But through the years, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen some people who gave begrudgingly and were not blessed by it. I have other people who have given generously and love the joy of giving and the thrill of being able to support ministries and people that meant something to them. And I've seen them amazingly blessed by that. You know, I understand that a lot of people give from a lot of different mindsets, but the most important thing that we can do is understand that when we give, we are demonstrating our faith. We are not having something, you know, put upon us.
And I mean, what I think could be another thing is how when the giving process. So the school's been given this grant and and everything, but when it comes down to us, it's such a long process until we understand how the giving happened. We're not creating any sense of gratitude.
Yeah. You're not going to understand that until you start paying taxes.
It's just here's your chocolate muffin and everything and move. Like we're not creating.
And there's no appreciation for that either.
No, because why? Because it's the school makes it like take the muffins.
Yeah. Yes.
See, and now obviously I'm sure there's something like the more you give, the more you get. You know,
Sure.
but it's just it's so
Well, I even wonder.
Tricky. It's just tricky.
And again, I don't know this, and I'm about to speak for somebody. I know I should never do that, but I'm curious as to whatever the program is that's providing these snacks and providing all these free lunches and things. I'm curious if anybody in that in the line, from the program that initiates it to the people who fund it and all that stuff. I wonder if anybody feels a great sense of accomplishment through any of that process, or a great sense of generosity, or the idea that we are doing a good thing. If anybody feels good, feels blessed by that, and again, maybe they do, but I feel like that's a part of the process that's being taken out when you've got kids shoving and fighting over something when there's more than enough for everybody. I don't know. I don't know if that experience.
And what we have to understand is it's important to know that, like, taxes, you mentioned obviously, like, when you're writing your checks to the IRS, like, taxes is not giving. It's not.
No, it's extortion. Yeah.
It's so like, we can't say like, oh, I did my offering for this, know, by writing my check and everything. Right. It doesn't work like that, because that's mandated.
Yeah.
Giving isn't out of like I need to give this.
Yeah.
Like,
or I feel inspired to give this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it takes all the blessing out of it, of all the money that I give to the IRS. I don't feel blessed by that, because just the way it's all handled, and I look at what's being done with it, and I get frustrated by that at times. And I'm not saying that everything the government does is bad either.
No.
But we all certainly have seen things coming out of the government. I mean, I'll give you an obvious example. I do not think government should be funding abortion under any way, shape, or form, and to think that my tax dollars are funding that, that's a difficult thing for me to deal with. That's just one example of many. But I think at the end of the day, when you separate the giving, when you separate the receiving from the giving, which I think is Parker gave us an example of that today, there's no blessing in that, because the two things they don't go together. When you come to the church and you give something, I mean, example, tomorrow night we're going over to Call Ministries to serve a dinner. A number of people have given of their time and made food for that. There's going to be a direct giving and a direct receiving, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be blessed through that. And that's because those two things are connected. When they're disconnected, it's hit or miss.
It loses all its meaning.
It loses a lot of its power.
And again, we're not knocking.
No, not knocking
nothing,
at all.
Nothing is being knocked. It's just, I think it's important to think about and realize what's going on here. Like, why, like, it's just something to know about. Like, where, like, because I find it just bizarre how, and it's not just our school, it's many schools in Ohio. But it's like, that's a lot of money there. And who's doing this and who's doing that, and what's happening? Where's this all coming from? How and why? And there's just so many things I think are factored into stuff like this. Yeah. It's just interesting to think about. Yeah.
So summing up, what we wanted to encourage you with this podcast today is to always hang on to, as much as you can, the connection between receiving and giving. In order for you to receive, somebody's got to give something. And sometimes in order for you to receive, you have to give something. And the more often those two things are disconnected, the more we get the feeling that I'm entitled to stuff that just falls from the heavens, and that's just not how the world works. So appreciate what you have, but make sure not only appreciate what you have, appreciate what you've been given. And when you sit down to your supper tonight, understand a lot of people worked very hard to put that food on your table. Whether it was the person making your sandwich at Subway or the person who was stocking shelves at the grocery store, there's a lot of people had to make an investment to get that to you, and you don't want to lose that in the process. So you can appreciate that it takes hard work for these things to happen.
That's important for everything in life. Having gratitude and thankfulness and
sincere
appreciation.
Gratitude.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean fighting and trying to take all the muffins.
It's just, I think, let's try finding that a little bit more in our lives and what we do, rather than just this.
A grateful giver. I think that's what Jesus is looking for. Yeah. So, well, we appreciate you joining us for this week's episode of the Raised Podcast, and unless Parker's got something more,
see you next week.
Hope you guys have a great week.